Hi, everybody. Mitch Tanenbaum here. Thanks for joining me today. I'm going to talk about the risk-reward trade-off for a few minutes on AI. Now, everybody knows that AI is not going anywhere, so that's not an option. We don't have to worry about that part. But I think it's reasonable for businesses to understand the risk-reward trade-off and making sure that they're doing the right thing. For example, the Korean electronics giant Samsung, after a number of missteps by its employees, banned the use of ChatGPT. And we may see more of that, but I mean, clearly AI has a lot of benefits. So, for example, and I'm just going to go through several examples here. What if you had an AI write code for you? Sounds like a productivity enhancement, should work. You have to test it, make sure it works when you're done. But what if that code had a backdoor? What if the whatever it's being trained on had some malicious tendencies in it, and those malicious tendencies were included in the code that you wrote? Now, obviously, you could review every line of code that the AI wrote, but at that point, you're really not saving any time. So, maybe that works, maybe that doesn't. But okay. What if the AI was used to write a code for self-driving cars collision avoidance system? Do you know whether it's going to work or doesn't work? Most AI, GPT style transformers won't tell you what they trained their system on. So you're just counting on that the data that they train the system on is appropriate. And I'm not even necessarily talking about bias, but just in general, appropriate for what you're doing. Now, the reason why they do that is, both for competitive reasons and also probably because the scraping of this data probably violated any number of license agreements and or laws. So they don't want to admit that they did that. I don't know that that's the case, but that wouldn't surprise me at all. AIs are also well known to lie. Ask your favorite AI to write you some kind of article and give you some footnotes. I did that the other day. None of the footnotes actually existed. They actually, gave you a page not found error message, but they were footnotes. Nothing says that the footnotes had to work or be real. There is a guy right now in Europe who's suing OpenAI, the maker of ChatGPT, because OpenAI says he's dead and they won't fix it. And he's a public persona, and the fact that he's dead is having some financial impact on him. So he wants to become undead. Another example, and this is only for folks who are a little bit older, some folks may remember the film War Games, where the computer decided that it was an AI back in the early 1980s, and it decided to create a fake nuclear attack. And when the soldiers refused to launch missiles in response to the fake nuclear attack, the computer tried to take over, and eventually the military figured out how to kind of pull the plug on the computer. But that's obviously a possibility. In the movie, the developer of the system said the AI was hallucinating, and that's a term that's actually now commonly used when the AI makes stuff up. Another issue is what happens when you pour sensitive data into the AI. That's what happened to Samsung, and that's why they banned it. That sensitive data is now part of the greater large language model, and at that point, it's no longer proprietary. In fact, you actually might lose trade secret protections at that point, and potentially patent protections if that code is kind of escapes your sandbox before you protect it. And certainly trade secret protections are based on the fact that you keep the secret. And if you feed it to an AI, you're not keeping a secret. So, who knows? Amazon says that they have some guardrails on their GPT called Code Whisperer. It's used to write code. Don't know how well it works, but they say it helps, not fixes the problem, but it helps stop this. One more thing to consider is all the third-party apps that are including AI in their app. In many cases, you don't know that the AI is in there. You don't know what they're going to do with the AI. They may or may not tell you they're using an AI. They may or may not go off and let you say, you can't use my data. But if you're using the system to go off and manage proprietary stuff, and now it becomes part of the greater large language model of a vendor, are you hurt and damaged? You have to see what's in the license agreement and whether or not the license agreement actually permits them to do that or prohibits them from doing that. If you're a large company, you can kind of negotiate that, but if you're a small company, you can't. Salesforce just announced, for example, that their GPT is called Einstein, is going to be integrated into the Salesforce software this summer. If that doesn't work for you, if you look at the terms of the license agreement, which they can modify kind of in real time, you don't like those terms, then your options are either to not use the system or swallow it and use the system, which may or may not be good for you. If you do not have a contract with a term on it, then you can quit using the system. But of course, that might have business impact, of course. But if you have a term contract, let's say you have a year-long, 2-year-long, 3-year-long contract, then I mean, maybe you could go off and say, gee, I don't accept these revised terms, and the contract then becomes null and void. That's a matter probably for the courts to decide, but you might be able to get away with that. But still, you're in a position where you got all your data in the system, and magically you've got to figure out a way to go off and get your data out and rebuild your business process. So you're kind of between a rock and a hard place. And the last thing, which is interesting by itself, is what if the material that you feed into the AI is covered by a non-disclosure agreement, an NDA? Are you violating the NDA by feeding it into the AI? I could see a creative lawyer would tell you that you got a problem there, if assuming they work for the other side. So all in all, I'm not poo-pooing AI, but I do think it's important that everybody understands what the risks are and kind of have a plan for how you're going to deal with it. With that, of course, if you have questions, please reach out to us. And otherwise, until next time, thanks for listening.
Turnkey Cybersecurity and Privacy Solutions offers the complete cybersecurity program for small to medium-sized